The end of 2023 is fast approaching, so it's a good time to share with you my 10 favorite pieces of motorcycle camping gear of the year 2023. I made a video like this last year, my favorite gear of 2022, and I still stand by everything in that video, so check it out here. I made a concerted effort to not repeat things from that video, so I'm gonna run you down my top 10 pieces of motorcycle camping gear that I've used this year. I'll start with the lowest price and work my way up to the highest. I've camped a lot of nights this year, both on multi-day trips off the bike. I've done a bunch of overnighters. I've camped out of my rig, out of my trailer, so everything I'm recommending here I've thoroughly tested and wholeheartedly recommend and encourage you to check out, whether you're looking for gear for yourself or maybe somebody sent you this video because they know that you're shopping for them this holiday season. I don't know. So let's kick it off with the lowest priced item on the list. That is my trusty Motocamp Nerd flask. This thing is $24. You can get it from our friend Motocamp Nerd directly on his site. And I know not everyone's a drinker, so maybe this isn't for everybody, but it sure is nice to have a very sturdy, and this is sturdy, like I feel comfortable rolling over it with my motorcycle, so I have no qualms about throwing it in the bottom of my bag. This thing has done thousands of miles with me. I have a bunch of friends that have the same one. Everybody says they're great, they work fantastic. No really visible damage at all, so it's a sturdy, very useful flask, and it sure is nice to just have this in the bottom of your pack when you get to camp at the end of a long day of riding. So you can pick that up for $24 over on motocampnerd.com, and the best thing about this one is it's a 9-ounce flask, none of this piddly 8-ounce crap like you see with a lot of other flasks around. Number 2, the Exped Widget Pump. This is a $50 item. I had a similar item last year, the Gigapump Air Mattress Inflator, and this does all the same things, but it does a couple extra things that the other one doesn't do. So it's still an excellent mattress inflator, as you can see, but it's also a light for your tent. So double purpose, multi-purpose things when you're camping are super useful. It's got multiple light intensities. The battery lasts a long time. It packs down very small, obviously. I highly recommend one of these if, like me, you're too impatient for those inflation sacks and you don't want to blow up your air mattress with your lungs, because putting moisture inside your mattress is bad for the mattress. It'll make it less insulated and all that. Super easy. Charge lasts forever. I charge mine up like every 3 trips. Just a note, if you want to use it with the Big Agnes sleeping pads, which is what I use, you need one of these handy dandy adapters, also available from Motocamp Nerd. And no, Motocamp Nerd did not sponsor this video, but he does sell most of the stuff I use, so highly recommend popping over to his site. Save 10% with promo code Dork in the road. The third item on the list is a total game changer. There is nothing else like it on the market, and it is the Giant Loop Cactus Canteen. This is the 1-gallon version. I had this hanging off the bottom of my saddlebag on the entire Oregon BDR this year. I have run these over with my motorcycle. They're super rugged, super useful, and I've tried a ton of different solutions for carrying water on the motorcycle, and none of them can stand up to the rigors of actually riding. I love those Pacific Northwest manta rays, as you know, but that was definitely more of a get to camp and fill it up situation. Anytime I had it on the bike for multiple days, it would develop micro leaks because it was just a Mylar bag inside. This thing has got a Cordura shell and a basically unpoppable TPU bladder inside. And yes, grain of salt, full disclosure, I work for Giant Loop. I run their YouTube channel, but it's why I've made a concerted effort to not promote their products on this channel, because I want to avoid any appearance of bias. But this thing is so good and so unique, I had to include it on this list, and I highly recommend it. It is $99 for 1 gallon. They have a 2-gallon, and the 3 and 5 gallons are coming out. You don't want to put those on your bike, but they're great for overlanding or car camping. When it's empty, it rolls up to a very small, compact size. You can throw it in your saddlebag, so it's a great thing to have. They last forever. I'm just really happy with this product, so I'll link that one for you. Highly, highly recommended. That's probably the most innovative, unique thing on this list. Okay, next up, my Big Agnes Mica Basin Camp Chair. And what I like about this chair is, as you can see, I'm a large person. The chair is $150, by the way. There's a lot of compact camp chairs like this, same design, but a lot of them use plastic connectors. And as a large person who frequently, shall we say, unceremoniously plops into his chair, the ones with the plastic connectors don't last forever for me. This one has 0 plastic. It is all 100% aluminum. It's grooved aluminum in the connection points, and that makes it incredibly sturdy. I've had 0 problems with this thing, and I've been using it for over a year. So this Big Agnes Mica Basin costs a little bit more, but I've replaced those plastic chairs 2 and 3 times. Haven't had to do that with this one. It's a kind of a buy once, cry once situation. Highly recommend this Mica Basin, and there's a couple other options that also have all metal fittings from Big Agnes as a high back version and all that. You can check out on Motocamp Nerd's site. Next, this is my Benchmade Bugout folding knife. This one is personalized. because a very fantastic subscriber named Eric, who happened to buy my Norden, gave me this as a gift at the Dork on the Road campout. I'm incredibly thankful for it. I've never been an everyday carry knife guy. I've always just kind of opened packages with my keys and stuff, and this thing is fantastic. It's super lightweight, incredibly rugged. You don't notice it in your pocket. It's got the clip so that it doesn't slide down into your pocket. It's easy to open and close. Stays very sharp, and you can obviously get it customized if you're into that kind of thing. It's not cheap at $190, so you know there may be less expensive options, but a good knife is invaluable. And this is great because it's not only good for camping, it's good for my daily life. It's been in my pocket every day since I got it. Next up, one of the most common complaints on my channel is that a lot of the gear I use costs a lot of money. That's true, and I think when you go camping as much as I do, it's worthwhile to invest in more expensive gear, but when you're just getting started, it's not a good idea. And so one of my favorite items I've used this year is this Kelty Far Out 2 tent. This is a $200 backpacking tent. As you can see, it doesn't pack down as small as you know, my bike packing tents do, but it's also less than half the price, and this thing is fantastic. I've been super impressed with the quality of it, the ease of setup. The design is asymmetrical, so you can roll back the top if you want to get extra ventilation or look up at the stars. It has a ton of room inside, and I just think for the money, it's a really quality tent. You can spend less money on a tent. You can go out and buy a Coleman tent or something, but it's just not gonna last you a long time. This is a tent I feel like you can spend not as much money on, but will last you a long time. I'm pretty happy with it. I've used it a few times now. That's the Kelty Far Out 2. Great sort of entry-level quality backpacking motorcycle camping tent, as long as you have the space for it. Oh man, we got out of order. Crap, I messed up my list. Okay, next on the list, this is actually a little bit cheaper than that. This is the Big Agnes Boundary Deluxe insulated sleeping pad. Now, this is kind of cheating because I had the Q Core insulated on last year's list, but they changed it. They changed it and the other one, which is now the Divide insulated. And at least they had the common courtesy to change the color of the Divide, but the Boundary Deluxe is exactly the same color and everything. It's very, very comfortable sleeping pad. It has a high R value, and I've used it a ton of times. Super comfortable. And I need a thick sleeping pad because I'm a side and stomach sleeper, and this thing fits the bill. Now, it's $180, which is a lot of money to spend on a sleeping pad. So if you want something that's almost as good that costs a little bit less, that Divide insulated pad is a little bit less comfortable with the quilt that we're going to talk about in a bit because it doesn't have the kind of quilted fabric feeling top to it, but almost as insulated, almost as comfortable, and it's a lot less money. It's like $120, so I'll link both for you. But if you want to spend the money and get like a buy it for life, excellent pad that is going to be very comfortable no matter what you're doing, up to and including camping in very cold temperatures, it's hard to beat this Boundary Deluxe, and I'm a big fan of it. And one of the reasons I've become a big fan of this Boundary Deluxe with the kind of cloth feeling top is because this year I fell in love with quilts. So I never understood how quilts worked for camping. It didn't make sense to me because you don't lay on top of it. You wrap it around you, and then underneath you is just your sleeping pad, which is why it feels more comfortable with something like this Boundary Deluxe underneath you. But there are elastic straps that hold this to your sleeping pad so that cold air does not get in, there are no drafts, and you can actually lay on top of part of it. It makes a lot of sense from a space-saving perspective because when you lay on your sleeping bag, the bottom part gets compressed and doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. The insulation isn't working, so all the insulation is coming from your sleeping pad. So it makes sense to just not have anything under there so that when you're packing this down, and this packs down incredibly small, like to the size of a Nalgene bottle, it's been a real game changer for me on long trips, particularly in the summer, because it packs so small and is still so warm. This is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. I also have the Revelation. They're both awesome. The Revelation is a little bit more versatile because you can unzip it all the way and turn it into just a quilt if that's what you're after on a super hot night. The Enigma doesn't do that. It has the foot box at the bottom, which is better when you're trying to keep more heat in. So they sell these on Moto Camp Nerd's site, but you can also custom order one from Enlightened Equipment's site. They are not cheap. This is a $335 quilt. You know, again, are you starting with this? No. Is it something that you can get if you're going camping a lot? Yes. Unfortunately, the only way to save a ton of space when you're moto camping is to start spending a lot more money because you get into diminishing returns as things get smaller. But this thing is high quality, lightweight. I've been very impressed with it, and I've spent a ton of nights in this thing over the last 2 years, and I have no qualms about recommending it. The next thing on the list, Garmin InReach Mini 2. I don't go anywhere without my Garmin InReach Mini 2, whether I'm gonna have cell phone service or not. This is a satellite communicator, communicates directly with satellites, obviously, to give you a means to communicate I've said communicate 32 times. In the backcountry, it's a great option for just like on the Oregon BDR, I would reach camp for the night and text my wife. Found camp for the night, we're all good. It sends your location with the message, so she would know we were good and where I was if anything happened. You can set it up to track and report your location if you like that. It also has an emergency SOS function, so that if you're in the woods, out of cell phone service, and you crash or somebody else crashes, you need help, you need evac, you can send an SOS. And my favorite part is, unlike a PLB, personal locator beacon or something like that, it's not just an oh shit button. You can communicate. So you can either communicate with the emergency services, be like, look, I have a broken leg, not bleeding out at this moment, but it would be nice if someone came and rescued me. I'm sure you'd be that calm in that situation. Or you can text your friend or your spouse, your significant other, your brother, whatever, to say, hey, the bike broke down, could you please bring the truck? PLBs, it's just one button, the cavalry's coming. This one's so great because you can communicate if you have something less than a catastrophic situation. And the best way to carry this, I think, is the Giant Loop Tracker Packer. That's like a $60 accessory. Makes it super easy to put it on a backpack strap. That's where you always see mine. So I keep it here so it's easily accessible to me if I'm separated from my motorcycle and unable to get back to it. And so that if I'm unconscious, somebody can find it quickly and hit that button and get the cavalry on the way. So can't put a price on safety. This is $400, and then there's a monthly service fee, which you can pay month to month and shut off in the months you're not riding if you don't ride in the winter. And finally, the last item is not here on the table, but it's a very important piece of motorcycle camping gear, because a big part of motorcycle camping is riding your motorcycle to where you're going camping. And my favorite gear that I've used and reviewed this year is the MSR Explorer gear. I think it is a premium quality set of gear. We're talking climb quality for about half the price. So the jacket is $420, the pants are $360. Yes, I know that's $700 plus, but that's how much just the Climb Carlsbad jacket costs, and you get the whole setup. It is incredibly waterproof. I've worn it in the snow, in the rain, muddy trail riding, all of that stuff. Very comfortable. I wore it in Mexico, all the way up to British Columbia for the Critter Moto Camp out, all the way up to northern BC. I've put like 3,000 miles on that gear this year. It's not showing any signs of wear, and I'm just really impressed that you can get such quality gear for such an inexpensive price. And I actually really like their whole kit. So they have ADV gloves, which I will link for you below. The boots are good if you're looking for a more inexpensive alternative to, say, the Formas. Those are fantastic. They have socks and mid layers, a whole kit and caboodle, and I think that gear is really good. I've been really impressed with it, and I would highly encourage you to check it out if you're looking for quality premium gear for a non-premium price. And that's it. That's my top 10-ish items that I've used this year for motorcycle camping. Highly recommend everything on this table, and I will put links to everything in the description for you. Those are probably affiliate links, so if you want to support the channel, please feel free to use them, and if you don't, well then feel free to not use them. I just want you to get good gear. This is all stuff that I have used and enjoyed, and this video is not sponsored and no one paid me to say any of these things. So if you have questions about anything on the table or recommendations for great moto camping gear that you've used this year, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Just to remind you that if you pop over to giantloopmoto.com, say you want to pick up this thing, you can use promo code Dork in the Road to save 15% on the Cactus Canteen or anything else they sell. Anything here on Moto Camp Nerd side, including the Garmin, 10% off your first order with promo code Dork in the Road. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you. Excellent! Thinking you can choo Chewbacca. Thinking you can baki choo choo. That's still recording, isn't it? Yep, well, enjoy my Chewbacca song, I guess.